is the most well-known FANHOME model ever made. Created directly from the screen-used Millennium Falcon. At 32 inches, this model has tiny interior details, lighting, and working parts that not only made it one of the most sought-after models, but was also one of the inspirations for our channel. And now, after years of not being able to get it, we have one. Better stay tuned. This is your Geek Fix. So if you've been watching our channel for a while, you'd know I've been bringing up for years, going back to the very beginning, I've been bringing up this model, the Millennium Falcon, the DeAgostini Millennium Falcon model, which I was inspired by. I mean, I really wanted it. What I really liked about it was all the detail, but also the interior detail, and all the modification I saw other people do. And by the time that I was interested in getting it, or I would have been actually able to get it, they stopped making them. It wasn't something you could get anymore. It became a kind of a rare item, and it was a big collector's item. But the downside was, yeah, it wasn't something that was available any longer. And I thought about making this big Millennium Falcon back here look similar, or trying to do something with it. Because believe it or not, actually this is going to be almost as big as that, at 32 inches. And so when I found out that they were re-releasing it, when FANHOME actually contacted me and said, hey, we got this model, do you want to put it together? I said, yes, please, I would. What makes this model special? I mean, one of the things that makes it pretty special is that if you're aware, there was actually quite a few models that were used for filming Star Wars. Because one of the issues that they had after Episode 4 was that the Millennium Falcon that they used in that was really large. There's a 6-footer that was out there, and that was pretty big and had all sorts of details to it. The problem is, the way that they filmed these models was with rigs that would basically shoot backward. It was a dolly that was suspended and would shoot backward, and so it made it look like the ship was flying away or flying toward the screen. And that requires some space. With a 6-foot model, that means you have to have even farther to draw away from it and to go up close to it. Also, for the other models that they had to film it inside of, which this is the big battle scene in Empire Strikes Back is what this was made for. They needed something that was small enough that they could actually fit it inside of some of their other models, and by scale have it somewhat comparative. So there was a 32-inch model that they made and is in storage. They put it into an archive, and it's this place that has no lights and tends to be specially treated, and in order for people to go in, they go in with gloves and things. I mean, they don't let people in. You have to have really special permission or know somebody to be able to get into that room. When I talked to Dan Lanigan, he said it's just not a place that's easy to get into, even though he knew some people to be able to get inside. And yet, DeAgostini was able to have access to that model to not only take pictures, but do some early 3D scans of the model, and they were very thorough. I'll also say that when this first came out, you receive the pieces of the model as time goes by, and they were literally releasing it as they were making it, and any little details that they decided to add, because there were some things that people wanted that were on screen, but not necessarily in the actual model itself. And on the flip side too, some things that didn't pick up so well in the photographs or in the 3D scans. And so they went back and did little greeblies that they would release that then people would have to replace other greeblies with. So they were trying their very hardest to make it as tiny detail accurate to the actual model used. And even went beyond that, because there's a difference between what is used on screen and what people imagine, because naturally some models that are out there have very little detail, or they are made from very cheap materials. If you get a close-up of what you thought it looked like, then you'd probably be disappointed. So when props have to be made for sale or for the fans, of course, sometimes you have to make something that isn't exactly accurate to what they used, but accurate to what people think would be true for the in-world ship, for example. So that's what I have in this box, and I'm very excited because it's been years. I've been watching other people build this, and now to actually have it. It might sound silly, but I'm really geeking out over this because it's just it's something I thought wasn't going to be an opportunity again. I really thought they weren't going to bring it back. But here it is. And so the first thing that we have is this, I think it's a poster. Oh, first off, as the build the Millennium Falcon, discover its secrets, the ultimate authentic replica. Shows some different things about the initial model being made that is the exact same scale. We also show that setup that I mentioned in order to be able to tilt and pose the Millennium Falcon. And then you got some weathering, which they will actually tell us how to do. And then on the inside, you've got the actual poster itself. Up here we have the working light effects. You've got your moving parts, which includes the turret, but also the ramp that comes down, the same one that crushed Harrison Ford's foot. The interior details. You got the cockpit internals that light up. And yeah, so on the back, we also have some of the gifts that we're going to be receiving, which includes the Millennium Falcon book for being able to put all the different magazines in. A really great hat. And then you have the cups look nice too, actually. I think they're made of metal. And then they got the stand that it'll stand on, which is pretty amazing. This is pretty large, pretty heavy. I know some people have built their own version of a stand that allows them to kind of pose it and tilt it and things a little bit more, but that does come with it. And this actually shows you a premium upgrade stand, which does just that, the posing piece. I wonder how you, it says more details available at FANHOME.com. So I might purchase that actually. So you got that, and then right here, I think that this is our schematic, yes, of the Millennium Falcon, and all of the details and parts. This does show us the layout. Oh, I wonder if this is really how much of it we're going to complete, because I think this is how far that the ground goes on the model. And here's the full. This is actually, is this to scale? It is. Oh my gosh, no way. Yeah, this is 1-to-1 scale. Just so you have an idea of how big this is, that's 1-to-1 scale. This is how big this is going to be. I hope you have someplace good to put it. I already know where I'm planning to put mine and what I plan to do with it. But I mean, gosh, I actually think this is bigger than the other Millennium Falcon that I have, the one that I've shown on screen before. So, wow, that's huge. We've got our 2 magazines right here, number 1 and number 2. And we've got a FANHOME card. I haven't seen these since the R2-D2 and the Iron Man that I got. But it says, we're glad that you've joined us and are sure that you'll love this thrilling adventure. Each month you'll receive parts for your Millennium Falcon model, fully illustrated magazines, and exclusive gifts created especially for this offer, all delivered directly to your door. One thing I should have mentioned is that the way that FANHOME has things set up right now is once when you get your account all set up and you decide at some point in time, you're like, you know what, I want to pause this for a little while, or I'm not sure if I want to continue. You can stop the subscription and it stays in your FANHOME account. And if you decide that you want to restart it again, you can at any point in time, and it'll start right from the last one that you left off on. So there is that option. Wow, then we have our parts, and there's so many iconic pieces here. So I can see the parts to our console. I can also see some decals that are related to that. I can see our game board. I can see the very top of the turret area, and even some battle damage. And then over here, this is one of the sections, I don't think it's the ramp, I think it's from the other side, because you got 2 of those, right? The bottom pieces. I think this is the bottom piece, based on the vent that's here. And then we have some of the turret parts for the gun. I also have some parts to the cockpit. And I'll tell you a little bit more about some of the details a little bit later on. But at any rate, that's everything that is in this box. Just box that up and throw it over there as we always do. Although these boxes, I've said before, hold on to, eventually you'll get a big box. Hold on to those boxes particularly because they're great for keeping all your parts in, especially as this gets bigger. I don't know though, when it gets to 32 inches, where I'm going to be keeping that, but let's see. Now let's talk about these magazines. So these magazines are like the other kits that we have all sorts of details and information, not only about this model itself, but about Star Wars and all the behind the scenes information that you might want to know in relation to the Millennium Falcon and of course the storyline of Star Wars. Like here's the interior of our turret, which we get to see. Naturally, they didn't really, they weren't laying down like that. It was actually filmed more like this. But still, one thing that I find really interesting about the Millennium Falcon and Star Wars in general, when it was filmed in the UK because they have a giant soundstage there. When they started building some of these different props and ships' interiors, they literally went to plane yards and stole parts. And so a lot of what you see on the interior of this ship is actually parts that they got from airplane graveyards and came back with all these parts and stuck them together. So if you're a pilot or someone that knows planes really well, you'll probably recognize bits and pieces of the interior as being parts of actual flying machines. Now, before we get started, I will say it's a good chance that they'll eventually send us something like this for being able to hold all of our screws. Right at the moment, they don't do that usually in the first box, but I just went down to the dollar store today and got a couple of pill boxes just to show you some examples. Right here I have 7 containers for different types of screws that I can be able to best store and organize. This one's a little bit more clear and a little bigger. Then there's this one right here that's kind of round. I kind of think that's an interesting way to go. Just kind of depends on how many screws they give us. I have made comments before that some of the models by DeAgostini tend to have a set number of screws, as in they only give you the number of screws you need for that stage, usually 1 extra. And then there's others like the R2-D2 where they give you tons of screws that you got to hold on to because you never know when you're going to need them, and they won't give them to you again. So I'm going to do my best to hold on to everything as exactly as I can. I also got the silicone mat to be able to organize not only my screws but parts. These are also my screwdrivers that I've already received from some of my other builds, and wasn't sure what kind they'd give us in this one. I can already see the one that they're giving us, but I like these packages. These are the packages that originally they used to use. This is also the exact kind you would find inside of comic book shops and model shops when you go in and just buy the parts individually back in the day. So it looks like for magazine 1 we're going to be doing this set of parts right here. One thing I'll say about this is, I mean, you never know. This was proof that some of these models can eventually be discontinued, and you don't want to miss your chance or opportunity to be able to get and build it. So if you're really interested in it, I'd say acting on it sooner than later. Plus you'll know that you'll get all your parts in less time. So I'm going to leave all these parts on here. That kind of lets me organize them a little bit better. I'm going to put them over here like so. It's interesting that this is the first magazine because it doesn't have you pull out the screwdriver yet, but as I'm looking at the layout, the diagram here, I'm not seeing where they actually use the screwdriver. Nope. Oh yes I do, right there. So I do need to open this up. Wow. Well, the packaging kind of takes me back. At the same time, it's a little difficult to open. Alright, so now both my packages are open here. I'll put this one over here, and eventually I'll need that screwdriver. So, starting off, I have watched a lot of people put these together, so I am aware that there's some parts that I won't be able to stick together initially. We're just kind of sticking them together enough, but we're not gluing them till later. I did get, though, some glue, because you will need some glue. I'm going to read this carefully because I don't want to mess it up. It says, if you wish, you can fit the instrument panel to the bulkhead, but you may prefer to wait until issue 3 when you receive the communicating door that fits into the center. But I'm still going to assemble it, I guess, is the idea, regardless of whether or not I actually hook it on. So we still need to put it together. Now, I will admit there are modifications out there that you can get for being able to make this more and more detailed, or trying to do more things that might look kind of neat. And if you're going to do that, you want to know in advance what not to put together. This might be one of those things. But for right now, I'm going to be using this piece right here and this sticker right here. We're going to peel this off. I think where I'm going to try and start is from the floor, because I know this is going to be covered up anyways, right? It's a pretty thick sticker. It's probably hard to tell, but it's a really thick sticker, which is probably a good thing. Pulling it off like that. And then on here, we are fitting it on, so we're doing it flat side here. And I am going to try and line it up, because all my little, see all my little holes and things need to be lined up with the parts that are going to be lit up. So to do that, I'm going to hold it up actually to my light right here, like this. And I'm going to see if that'll help me to guide the parts where I want them to go. And I'd say that I got it. Wouldn't you say? So if we look down here versus up there, definitely way more lit. And they really got it lined up nice too, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. Alright, so that's steps 1 through 3. Again, we can test fit the tabs onto the cockpit. So if we can test fit it, then maybe I'm not too worried about just sticking it on. Maybe that means that we're going to glue it later. But we'll see. Whoops. Okay. Supposedly, I can take these tabs right here and stick them through right there. Am I the only one that's nervous about this? Why isn't it going in? Yeah, eventually we would glue it, it says, but... Oh, there goes one. Okay, that's all it is. It's just about pushing it hard enough. Like that. There it is. Dun dun dun. Now this portion of the control panel looks accurate, but I am aware already in advance that the front portion, which I think we get after today, but maybe not, maybe we put it on today, does not look accurate, and I have an answer for why that is. But it's not accurate maybe to what we see in the film and the actual cockpit that they filmed in, but it is accurate to what the actual model looked like on the inside. And this is one of those things where you have to decide, well, are you trying to make it accurate to the model used in the film, or are you trying to make it accurate to what the cockpit looked like that they filmed inside of? But anyway, so interesting. So there's this little area at the bottom that tells you a little bit of a story, and what it says is that basically when they went to Tunisia to film part of A New Hope, they found the customs officials found the parts of C-3PO's costume were described as assorted greeblies. When the officials asked what that meant, Lucasfilm explained that it was reported to have been something that looks cool but doesn't actually do anything. That was how they described greeblies, and honestly, the first time I ever heard the word greeblies was in relation to Star Wars models. Of course, because that's kind of the first ones I got interested in. And basically, greeblies are little details that mostly they steal from, or kit bash from, other models. So there'll be parts on the Millennium Falcon, the large version, that were from car models and from rocket models and things like that. Some people might have seen on the full-size prop that they made to be able to film. Most recently, they actually had a greebly on the bottom that was Batman's car, the Tumbler. Next, we're going to be doing the quad laser. The quad laser. These look like metal parts, actually. They are metal parts. Oh my gosh. They are fully... These are actual metal parts, and part of this one just came out. Pretty neat. They weigh a lot. I wonder how much this model is going to weigh as well at the end. It doesn't say in the description how much it ends up weighing, but... Oh, I also need these special screws. I'm going to use this little round one for right now. Just put them in there. I think we're going to be using up all of them though. And then I will need my screwdriver here. Ooh, look at this one. Not bad. Each model has its own special screwdriver, and some of them are pretty cool. So we got a magnetized end here. Nice long shaft for being able to have better control and torque. And the handle's not bad either. I like that. Feels pretty good. First thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking this piece right here, and I'm going to be taking this one right here, I guess, and I'm sticking it through just like that. And it's important that this piece right here is on the inside, that one right there. And then we bring in our other one, and we're going to be setting it on the other side in the same way, just like this. All right, like that. And then I'm going to bring in this part underneath. Bring it up underneath here. Like, oh, there, like that. See that? And then we're bringing this part on top. So far I haven't had to hook anything together using screws, but that's coming up, I think, in a second here. That's the way it goes. It feels like it. Feels like it's all hooked together. Wow, look at that. Okay. So, I got those held together. Now, how do I get it screwed together is the question. Alright, turning the page here. Make sure the upper cannon barrels line up with the lower ones. It looks like it lines up to me. Yeah, so just like that. We're going to flip it over a little bit, right? And where we're going to be placing those screws is down here. And I think we're only doing 3 fitting screws. I'm going to tighten this now and see if that might help as well. We'll see. Tighten it nice and tight here. Oh yeah, definitely feel it now. And that's it. Look at that. Love how it feels. All right, so that's our first magazine down. Apparently we did need to open up both of these because in the end the parts seem to transcend each of the 2 builds. So I guess it doesn't matter. They aren't really specific to each magazine like in some of the other FANHOME D'Agostini models. Ooh, we're gonna be doing the cockpit stuff. So here's the thing about the cockpit. There are 2 different versions of this. So the version that most of you might be aware of looks a little bit more like this. So this is actually part of the parts that I made for the other Millennium Falcon that I was starting to work on. And as you can see, it has this section that sticks out, and then as you can see underneath you would have this piece. So it's kind of shaped like this. Legs go underneath, and the front looks more like that. So that's the way that the model is actually supposed to look, is basically like that. And so far in our version, we can already see they do have this part looking pretty similar. But the next piece is where things might deviate a little. So I just want you to be aware in advance that this is matching the filmed model and not necessarily the inside of the cockpit that you see in the movie. So the very first thing we're going to be putting together is this structure right here, which I'm going to be connecting with all these little connector parts, some screws. Got those right there. So first thing I want to do, and step 1, is I'm going to be taking this piece right here, this piece right here, and then we're also getting these 2 pieces, this one right here and this one right here, and we're putting those all out. So I'm ready to do things, put it together. Take a 2-hole connector, or a 2-hole right there, and 1 screw, align the parts with frame TF1 at position A. I'm going to do it too tight because I think I'll need it to move a little bit to line up with the other one. And then I'm going to be putting another one over here. Spinning around. Uh-oh. Looks like it's not a perfectly square piece. Am I wrong about that? Maybe it isn't. Maybe it is. I mean. Alright. Perfect. And we're going to be taking that part, and it should stick kind of like that. So that's where I'm going to get more screws now. Okay. And just like that, we get those parts connected. Next, I'm using a quad down here in this corner. So I need another one of those quads. Okay, and then like I said, loose fitting it a little bit. That's what they're recommending too. And I'm probably doing a single one up here. Am I right? Yes, I am. I am right. So I'm gonna put this one right here. Okay, see those? Then we're taking this piece and I'm gonna be connecting it together. 2 more screws now. Okay, and then we're going to be bringing over this piece right here, which I'm going to be connecting with another quad. Sure enough, we used up all the quads. It looks like these pieces you only get the exact number for. Okay, so there you go. Now I've got this whole structure that goes on the inside, and you can kind of see what it's becoming. But we're not gonna end it there. Oh no! Now we're gonna add our first piece to the exterior, which it looks like goes right like this. So you can tell that this is part of the bottom. I can tell by the vents. So you just hook it on. It has little pegs right here. There's some pegs right there and right there. They go into these little holes that are right down there, just like that. Perfect. And then it says just test fit it. This is again one of those areas where we're not actually doing anything with it beyond that. We're just test fitting it. So yeah, it test fits. It does, yeah, I guess it fits. And it looks like that when you put it on. But we're not going to secure it on just yet. We're going to be doing that in a later episode. So now what we're going to do is put together another iconic piece. So we've got this right here, which I will tell you right now, that is metal. See? Metal piece. So you have a little tiny details, by the way, that are painted on here. Again, these stickers are a little rough to get separated, but they are very thick stickers. I mean, really thick quality stickers. And it does matter, by the way, how we line this thing up. You see both sides have 2 blue lights with red lights in between. And if I was to hold it just like this, then one of these black panels right there has to be lined up with that. Ooh, as I put it down on both sides. Like, yeah, I did it. That's it right there. Look at that. So basically these black pieces have to fit within those, just like that. Alright, perfect. And we don't do anything else with that one either. Okay, now I'm going to be bringing this part back around again. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be taking this. Look right here. There are these little holes, because that's where the throttle is going to go. So we're going to take this sticker right here, just like that. And we're going to be fitting it on top of this. And those holes need to line up. Last time I used the light to be able to get this all exact. But I think I've got it lined up pretty good, though, actually. Yes, I do, and the holes are lined up. I did it. Look at that. See, can you see the holes? You see that there's light going through those holes? So I got everything nicely lined up. One thing that I know people have been adding to make this model more accurate is a hood on this little part right here. But that's also something that we'll come back to probably at a later date. But it says you can test fit it onto here just to see if it will fit. So it fits kind of like that, but this is just a test fit now. In the final version we're gonna actually have to glue that. I think on the next build we actually even put on the yokes, but anyway, that's that part. And then, oh wait, no, oh, we can do one other thing. Test fitting our quad turret. The turret, but do not be tempted to do this until you finish preparing the turret and the cannon. So it basically tempts you. It literally even says it's tempting you to go ahead and stick this in there and then screw it in. But it says don't do it though until you're sure that you're really gonna do it. But this is how it essentially, let me see if I can just stick it in a little bit. Just do it a little bit. There it is. So it looks like that. It's kind of cool, right? It looks pretty accurate, screen accurate. So it would tilt like that too, like it did in the movie. I still don't know either why we haven't secured these yet. I don't know if they do something else or if whatever, but again, metal pieces that make it just so much better. And with that, that's the end of that magazine. The end of our build for today, but we got a lot done. It's kind of exciting stuff, so they kind of introduced us to being able to build some of these structures and how to attach parts to them. We built one of the turrets already out of two. One out of two is built. And then we've also been working on the cockpit and got quite a ways. I know that we actually pretty much finished a lot of this interior on the next episode. Can I also point this out? Keep in mind how big this is compared to the rest of the model. I mean, size-wise, this is pretty big by itself, but when you look at the actual ship, how much of the ship this makes up, this is just a small piece in comparison. So we have a lot more to go, and things that are only going to get bigger and more exciting. But what do you think? What do you think of this model so far? Obviously, we're moving along pretty quick. I'm pretty excited about it myself, and can't believe, honestly, that I'm putting it together after all this time of talking about it. We'd like to thank FANHOME for providing us with this model to review, but they also gave us a promo code. So if you're interested in purchasing this model, use the code MillenniumUS. Stay tuned as we continue to build the Millennium Falcon. Also be sure to check out some of our other FANHOME videos, including R2-D2, Iron Man, the Back to the Future DeLorean, and the Enterprise D. In the meantime, like, subscribe, comment below. This is Your Geek Fix.